That is the sound of celebration. Clemson Family, Doug Kingsmore Stadium alive after that regional victory, the clinching win that has led to a super regional. We're going to preview all of that in this episode as the Tigers get ready to take on a rare opponent, the Florida Gators.
I'm Daniel Shirley. Has there ever been a better photo of Clemson baseball than Eric Bakich standing on the fence celebrating? And there have been some as good as that, right? College World Series trips, all that. But it's been so long for this program to not go to the Super Regionals that was just this huge sigh of relief and excitement. And I love the photo of Coach Bakich celebrating with the fans.
Very, very cool. Another nice image I saw today. Graceson Littleton, a cornerback out of Florida, committing to the Tigers. That was awesome. We're going to get into that as well in this episode of the Reign Supreme All Way podcast. I am Bill Zimmerman. Welcome, everybody. Hey, Clemson family. It's great to see you here. Can we see you? You can see us at least, which I'm not sure we look any better than anybody else. But you can find us on youtube.com/Clemson Kickoff. You can also find our website, clemsonkickoff.com. You're going to notice a new look there. I'll admit the design is not great yet, but some new functionality coming your way, and that's why we're doing it. We're going to do a little bit of written content here and there by yours truly, maybe a few other sources unnamed here and there, and then we're also going to be able to do some emails. So sign up if you want to be alerted whenever the podcast drops. That is when we will send out an email and say, hey, here's all the latest on Clemson sports. Starting with the latest episode of this Reign Supreme All Way podcast. Enough about that because so much is going on around campus today, and we will get started with the baseball team. Again, taking on the Florida Gators. Great to be in the Super Regional. It's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Bill, remember in 2010, this program was, almost every year they were going to Super Regionals. They were going to the College World Series a lot. Who would have ever thought we would be 14 years without a trip to the Super Regionals? Maybe 14 years without a trip to Omaha because it's really hard to get to Omaha. But this is a proud program. This is a blue blood college baseball program. I don't think we can deny that. And I don't think anybody would argue against that. Anybody who knows about college baseball. I know Clemson has never won a national title, but if you say, in golf, the old best player never won a major. I think if you say best programs that have never won a national title, I mean, Clemson's in the mix with Florida State and Oklahoma State. And I don't think that's debatable. So it's been a long time, but it's great to see this program back amongst the elite. And what a turnaround for Eric Bakich and this staff in just 2 years. They were so close last year to being a super regional team. And that disappointment last year, I think we all remember the 2-strike home run by Tennessee and then losing the next day. To rebound from that and to do it this year and playing at home in the super regionals, I think says a lot about where this program is headed. Not where it is, where it's headed.
Yeah, and where it is, look, it's awesome that they are here, and I don't want to, cast any, shade on that. I am concerned about the pitching in this super regional. I think
Sure.
Florida. Look, let's talk about the Gators a little bit. They were a huge favorite, like nationally, top 10, top 5, to contend to not only get to Omaha but to win in Omaha this year, and went sub 500 in the SEC in the regular season. It's been a disappointing year for former Clemson assistant, now Florida head coach Kevin O'Sullivan. But the Gators have talent. They have power pitching. They have power hitting. When they are on, they are on. They have won some big series this year. They've also dropped some series this year that they really shouldn't have, in addition to some that could have gone either way. So there's a little bit of a challenge here, without a doubt, that the record doesn't really show for the Gators. And you see Jack Caglione. We practiced it and I
You
still
nailed
botched
it.
it.
You nailed it. No.
Jack Caglione, what a hitter. He's a lot like Charlie Condon, who we saw at Florida, just muscles the ball, hits it hard. And that's not the kind of guy that our pitching staff in Clemson, I shouldn't say our, that Clemson's pitching staff has really dealt with very well. So they're going to have a challenge in that lineup, not just Caglione, but a deep Gators lineup. that just has been spotty all year. And then I think that pitching staff in Florida could cause some problems as well. I love our ace, but then after that, and the closer Austin Gordon has been very good. But what's going to happen with all this pitching? I would love to see Clemson, not just for bragging rights, but logistically, win for Canuck and then win with whoever pitches second. Probably Tristan Smith will go Sunday. Canuck, you would think, will go Saturday. Don't take it to Monday, guys. If you can help it at all, get both those wins and get out of there.
Yeah, look, I think Tristan Smith was better this past weekend than he has been the second half of the season. I don't think he's been the same since he, was out of the lineup for a few weeks. He was
Oop.
pretty good early, or at least solid. I think he and Darden both kind of struggled the second half of the season, but Canuck is really good. I think Tristan Smith, he has the potential to be really good. I mean, he was a big time recruit when he signed with Clemson. I thought the pitching was pretty good last week, but they didn't face a lineup like they're going to face this weekend, and that's going to be the key. It's got to be throw strikes. You've got to play good defense behind them. And then look, the lineup, Bill, and you and I were texting back and forth last week. They were really pressing throughout the regional last week. They looked like a team that was a number one seed that the program hadn't been to the Super Regionals in 14 years. They were pressing hard. And I maybe that getting to this point is there's that relief. Okay, let's just go play ball, right? We got past the hurdle that we haven't been able to get past. And I know that's not these players, but there many of them were there last year. And maybe now they can just relax and go play ball and not press so much. And that's kind of what you have to hope for if you're a Clemson fan, that it's the group that finished, right? That third game and the win over Coastal, where the bats just came alive. Maybe that's the group that you see this weekend, because that's the group that was 28-3 too. If the 28-3 team plays this weekend, I think Clemson's got a really good shot to be playing in Omaha.
Yeah, I mean we can respect Caglione and the Gators quite a bit, but Blake Wright, I mean, he's going to be
Right.
that main challenge for Florida to deal with. Hinderleiter, oh my gosh,
What a weekend.
he
Yeah.
is just locked in right now, and you hope that holds true during these few days off, and then you see it again Saturday and Sunday, and if needed Monday. Overtop is hitting the ball hard. Becerra is hitting the ball hard. I mean, up and down this lineup, guys are hitting the ball hard. Even Purify, who is not a power forte hitter, hitting the ball sharply, I would say. So can they chain together enough of those hits and get rallies? Can they swing level and chase contact rather than trying to loft the ball and get it out of there? Can they work counts so that Florida's starters can't go deep into games and the bullpen has to come in early? I think those are going to be keys, how they approach the plate. You don't want to take all the aggressiveness and confidence out of these guys, but you hope that there's a balance and there's a way for this team to kind of manage both of those goals for this team. Get the opposing starters out of there, get to that Gators bullpen. Every team is more vulnerable when you get to their bullpen, and that's what this lineup's got to be thinking about. So we will see how it goes this weekend in Clemson at Doug Kingsmore Stadium. Boy, everything I saw was that tickets were gone in a hurry, and not many tickets were available when the emails went out that they were available, because a lot of the season ticket holders scooped them right up. So I think it's going to be a very electric weekend. You love seeing Eric Bakich get that crowd fired up, even after all is said and done. Go ahead and celebrate a little bit. Let's hope they aren't celebrating too early, but get that energy up. Get those guys psyched. I think this team feeds off of that, not in an over the top way like some teams have been known to do. Like I think we would all agree Tennessee did last year against Clemson. They're not the only one. I've seen others do it. Hey, you see high school teams do it too. I mean, that's kind of what the game is becoming, but I do like that under Eric Bakich, it's just brought down just a little bit, and it's I think a little more respectable to the game. I think Brian McCann would still hate it, but this is the college game. This isn't the major league, so we'll see how it goes. Get out there, watch the games this weekend. Again, Saturday I think is 2 and Sunday is 2:30.
Yep.
So
and Monday is TBA, right?
Yeah,
Depending
right.
on what else playing. Right.
Hopefully Monday doesn't even happen and everybody's wondering, hey, can I call in sick and fly to Omaha, right? So we'll see how
Right.
it goes. ClemsonKickoff.com, again, that new home website for us. Sign up for emails. We're also on social, Twitter and Instagram, primarily at Clemson Kickoff. You can find us there. And then all our old episodes, youtube.com/Clemson Kickoff. Let's get into what a lot of days would be the lead story, and that is a big commitment, a significant cornerback prospect out of West Florida, Tampa area, just north of Tampa, Graceson Littleton. Checks in at, on average about 6'0 and 178, I would say, across the four services. If you sort of average out those four figures, pretty consistent. Uh, Kind of a Mackenzie Alexander kind of build, I would say, another Southwest Florida guy, but south of Tampa from Alexander and his twin brother. But what I would say is looking at Grayson Littleton on tape today, to me, he looks a little more quick, a little taller, I think, at his age than Alexander was coming out of high school. And I just a lot of energy to his game.
Yeah, and physical. Like, and I think that is similar to what you were talking about there. I like what I see from his tape, from his video, right? And again, you're looking at high school video, you're playing against other high school players. So, where does that stack up? We'll find out when he gets to Clemson. But Bill, you and I talked about this past weekend, is who's going to be the first commit, right? Coming out of the big uh, official visit weekend, Clemson had a lot of success last year with a lot of people committing pretty soon after that weekend. Was that going to happen again this year? It sounds like most of it is kind of a slow burn this year compared to last year, but here we are with Littleton being the first commit. And again, athletic guy, physical guy. I love the aggressiveness. I love the getting up in your face as a cornerback. I love the ball skills. A lot of guys can cover, but if the ball's in the air, they can't go get it. So I like that as well. So
Nice knockdown right there in
yeah,
coverage.
right. So we'll see what he becomes. Again, it's just a commit, right? I mean, he's 6 months away from signing if he signs in December. But this is a really good pickup for Clemson, and we don't typically see Clemson have a lot of decommits. So, I think they are deliberate in that they don't offer a ton of guys. We all know that. They typically do their homework. They're not just taking commitments willy nilly. Dabo Swinney has said he tells guys, make sure that you want to commit, and because it's best for you and it's best for the team. So, we'll see moving forward. But I like this pickup for sure.
Yep. First true corner for the class of 2025,
Yep.
12th commitment
Right.
overall. And apparently in 24/7, this pushes Clemson currently to the number 3 class in their rankings. I don't know if that was the composite or just 24/7 rankings. That probably won't hold. I mean, Clemson tends to get an early haul, and then later on, as the NIL deals come in and get all the bidding sorted out and get those finalized, you're going to see the deeper pocketed programs move out to the front late. That's kind of always been the way. It wasn't always NIL driving that, but I think NIL has pronounced that a little more strongly, that you're going to see the guys who want to look, take care of their families, take care of themselves, right? Like you never know which of these guys are going to make the NFL. The rankings for recruiting should not reflect, oh my gosh, here's this guy's going to be highest paid in the NFL, and this guy, he's got no chance to ever make the league. I mean, forget it. Grady Jarrett wouldn't be a multi-year All-Pro if that really held true. Tony Mandarich would be, a multi-billionaire, right? So you cannot lock it in that distinctly, but you do want to see these guys say, hey, all right, you don't know what's going to happen in the NFL. Let me get what I can now. Let me take care of my family. And no harm in that. But you do end up seeing more of these guys who are a little more interested in a balanced life and saying, hey, it's not just about how much money can I get today. It's about how much money can I make over the course of my lifetime with a Clemson degree, with Paul Journey helping out, with all the things that this program does to say, hey, we're going to make you a well-rounded person and a well-rounded adult. You're coming in as a young man. We're going to send you out as a grown man, right? And that is something that Dabo Swinney had worked for him while he was at Alabama. He came in as a walk-on, left as a scholarship guy, became a GA, managed to make a heck of a living within the sport of football, but he wants to make sure that anyone who has their sights set on a life outside of football when their playing days are done are well taken care of. And when you look at Graceson Littleton, I think you see a guy who probably is going to have a lot of avenues open for him as far as a professional cornerback prospect because of the speed that he's got, that alone. And then you bring in Mike Reed, one of the best teachers of cornerbacks in the game, quite frankly. I think
Yep.
you can make the argument that he's got a heck of a shot to do anything that he wants to do. But he's also got a family member in Trey Lamar who had a celebratory tweet. Very happy to see Littleton commit verbally to Clemson, and Lamar. I mean, my gosh, we haven't seen too many better sack artists from the linebackers at Clemson over the decades, and just didn't have that NFL career pan out for him. So there's the lesson of saying, hey, no matter how good you might be today, no matter how good your college coach might make you, there is a chance that you're going to need to make a life outside of football. And it's nice to see this young man with that influence coming to Clemson and being a legacy player.
Yeah, it is. Trey Lamar is of the last 10, 15 years is a name that pops, right? If you're a Clemson fan, you know Trey Lamar. So I like the addition. We'll see what he becomes. Again, I think Mike, you've mentioned it there. Mike Reed is as good as there is as a cornerbacks coach in college football. There's a reason why we hear his name pop up every year when jobs are open. We hear that other schools are coming after him, and he has stayed at Clemson and has been there for a while now. I love him as a cornerbacks coach, and I think this is another good addition. It'll be interesting to see, Bill, too, if they add another cornerback in the class. We'll see, going forward. But man, this class is off to a great start. You mentioned the rankings. They have more commits than a lot of schools, so that'll play into the rankings as well. But I think they're really off to a good start. We'll see if there are any more commitments moving forward coming out of this past weekend. There could be some. We'll find out. But the summer, I think, is going to be really busy for the Clemson program.
Yep. I mean, one thing I like about this class, I've got the list on the screen here, very high tech list, right? Multiple colors. Wow. We are pretty
Hey,
grassroots here.
good colors. There's nothing wrong with those colors. The
That's
colors are
true.
nice.
That
They
is
look
true.
good together.
I love how spread out this is by position right now. I mean, you've got everything but linebacker represented here right now. Tay Harris could be a coverage guy. You think of him more as a nickel or a safety type. He's a little bit in between. We will see where he lines up. So Littleton, the first true corner. You got a couple of defensive tackles who are just all world. You've got Ari Watford, who is looking fantastic at edge and very highly regarded. Pardon me, just had a pop up come on over that. A receiver, an athlete who probably is a receiver take in Marquise Henderson. You've got tight end Logan Brooking, son of a famous NFL player in the Southeast, in his right. Gideon Davidson, Gid the Kid at running back. Blake Hebert has been locked up for a long time at quarterback. A couple of offensive linemen, another NFL son, Braden Jacobs. I think a lot of fans also remember Brandon Jacobs, longtime running back presence with the Giants, and then Easton Ware, another longtime commit. That list could get added to and make this list obsolete less than 24 hours from now as we record this, with Rowan Byrne expected to announce tomorrow. And we will see where that goes, but a lot of buzz around him and Clemson. So make sure you keep your eye on socials tomorrow and see if that becomes Clemson's 13th commitment. And that would be the third on the offensive line, which is an area where Clemson needs a lot of help, needs to get younger. And Matt Luke now doing the shopping for the groceries that he can be cooking with to come up with the right blocking talent and scheme in front of Cade Klubnik, in front of the running backs. Get the kid, potentially one as well, could be your starter someday. You just love to see the depth that they're getting at offensive line with two there already, and several commitments, or several prospects, getting buzz that you may see commitments soon. Byrne would be the next to announce, and we'll see if he chooses Clemson.
Yeah, that could be a big one, because I think, look, you need as many offensive linemen in a class as possible, because how many of those are you going to hit on? That might be the hardest position to judge as a recruiter. And if you only take two or three, well, what if you don't hit on any of them? So you take four or five and hit on a couple of those, and there you go. And that's how you build an offensive line culture. We know that Coach Luke he's done that before. He's done it everywhere he's been, and Clemson needed that. That was what we've talked about on this podcast for the last 3 years since we've been doing it, is where is Clemson lacking the most? And I know other people will get caught up in receiver and the skill positions, but if you don't win the trenches, you're not going to win. I don't care what the scheme is, and Clemson is really focusing on that. And I love to see that as a college football fan.
Absolutely. And we will get more into the offensive line and what that all means. There was a very interesting podcast from Larry Williams featuring Thomas Austin last week.
Yeah.
I think there's a second part this week as well. And the insights that you get there are pretty great, and I think very reliable. It's a worth listen. It's a much longer format than we have, and with good reason. I mean, Larry does a fantastic job with that podcast.
Yeah, he does.
You should not simply wait around for us. Listen to him as well, for sure. I think that we will see. I don't know. My take on offensive line was already changing, and some of what I heard from Thomas Austin kind of cemented that. So we will get into that in future episodes. We are lining up topics, you and I, to do position by position off-season preview for going into 2024, as well as opponent by opponent. We'll probably make those a little shorter so we can get more episodes out to you and break them up. A lot that we're trying to do with this year, and time willing. We both have other jobs. This is our hobby. This is not our income stream. Nothing coming in. Only a few bucks here and there going out to keep a domain name and make sure that we're bringing you at least some level of quality in what it is that we're saying, and maybe what I'll be writing coming up as well. This recruiting class, I think, is going to be crucial for that offensive line, though, and I think Matt Luke will get a good view, obviously, of what needs to happen and what kind of players he needs to get in. He's already seen the tape on these guys that he's got around, and hopefully what he's bringing in will be the complementary parts of what he's looking for. Maybe not next year, maybe 2 years down the road, but he's seen what Harris Sewell and Ian Reed and Colin Sadler and the younger guys who have been in some good recruiting classes lately, what they can do. So I think this is going to be a significant haul on the offensive line. A lot will be at stake for the Tigers based on who comes in along that line. So keep an eye on socials tomorrow. We will try to find a way to get word to you, and it'll be out there what that decision will be tomorrow. There are other guys looking around right now. This is all coming off, like you said, that huge official visit weekend, which typically nets a handful of recruits, and we'll see what it can do this year. And I think looking at the invite list, which I'm not going to try to steal anyone else's invite list, but I think they were pretty selective about who they brought in, who they thought they reasonably had a shot at. I think there weren't two wish list guys there, maybe three wish list guys who you don't think you're going to be able to just win a bidding war for those guys in NIL necessarily. But I think they also know that there's a reasonable shot to get those guys because of what Clemson brings to the table, how the coaches recruit their players, how they take care of their players as time goes on, what the existing players who are hosting say to some of these guys to say, hey, no, this is really what Clemson's all about. So a lot of news potentially to come, not just tomorrow, but in the days ahead, and baseball excitement. Get glued to your TV, and it is fun. I used to love going to the baseball games when you and I were on campus, and certain friends would make sure they hit those games with us. There was only one class I wouldn't cut to go to a ball game, and that was journalism with Jim Marvin. And you and some of the folks who were in there from the Tiger with us, that was the only time I missed a baseball game. So I will be glued to the set as much as I can be, and until those games wrap up, and until maybe we get another commit, we will see you next time. I'm Bill Zimmerman.
I'm Daniel Shirley. Go Tigers.